Hi, my name is Joanna Whitney. I am an intuitive artist, a student of natural law, and an energy practitioner. We're reading the Kybalion by the Three Initiates. We're on the Hermetic Axioms on page 102, and this is the third one. I believe it's the third one. Let me check. Yep, the third one. To destroy an undesirable rate of mental vibration, put into operation the principle of polarity and concentrate upon the opposite pole to that which you desire to suppress. Kill out the undesirable by changing its polarity. This is one of the most important of the Hermetic formulas. It is based upon true scientific principles. We have shown you that a mental state and its opposite were merely the two poles of one thing, and that by mental transmutation, the polarity might be reversed. This principle is known to modern psychologists who apply it to the breaking up of undesirable habits by bidding their students concentrate upon the opposite quality. If you are possessed of fear, do not waste time trying to kill out fear, but instead cultivate the quality of courage, and fear will disappear. Some writers have expressed this idea most forcibly by using the illustration of the dark room. You do not have to shovel out or sweep out the darkness, but by merely opening the shutters and letting in the light, the darkness has disappeared. To kill out a negative quality, concentrate upon the positive pole of that same quality, and the vibrations will gradually change from negative to positive until finally you will become polarized on the positive pole instead of the negative. The reverse is also true, as many have found out to their sorrow when they have allowed themselves to vibrate too constantly on the negative pole of things. By changing your polarity, you may master your moods, change your mental states, remake your disposition, and build up character. Much of the mental mastery of the advanced Hermetics is due to this application of polarity, which is one of the important aspects of mental transmutation. Remember the Hermetic axiom quoted previously, which says, mind, as well as metals and elements, may be transmuted from state to state, degree to degree, condition to condition, pole to pole, vibration to vibration. The Kybalion. Well, my experience with this actually is to do service instead. So if I was experiencing fear, how would I cultivate the quality of courage? Well, maybe it is the quality of courage to turn my thoughts completely away from the situation, but to also be of service to others. And then you rise into a state of neutrality completely, not just the other pole. So, for example, and this means true service, not going to the soup kitchen and doing what the soup kitchen says. Although I guess that would probably work in a certain way, but the best service would be to actually help someone how they would like to be helped. So you would put yourself on the shelf and be helpful to someone and completely do what they would like you to do in order to be helpful to them, but not in a self-deprecating way, um, in a way that would uplift that person. But, you'd have to be discerning, especially these days, because I think we may have lost touch with service. Um, I like to give the example, and I think I've given the example in other videos about helping the old lady cross the street, which I'm kind of the old lady now, but uh, if I was going to help a lady that was older than me across the street and she wanted to hang out in the median, then my job would be to hang out with her in the median, not drag her all the way across the street because I felt it was safer. The true service would be to allow her to hang out in the median if that's what she wanted. So, because I would be responsible to her, but not for her. That's true service, is to be responsible to a person, but not for them, because they have their own relationship with their intuition, with their own God, their own experience of God. And so, um, I have to respect that because I don't want to be God. I don't want to try to play God for them. So, that is the best way to me if I'm in fear to cultivate courage, let's say, would be to have the courage to not focus on the point of the fear. I had a recent experience with this. Just last week, I was falsely accused of theft somehow. And it brought me great disturbance. But what did I do about it? I prayed about it and thought the whole thing through over and over and worked with other people. I tried to be helpful with other people. I tried to be of service to other people and also animals, like I work with animals. I just refused to concentrate on the problem and what was happening and how it was being handled was also very bizarre. Um, I just basically gave it to God and told him to take care of it for me. And then I focused on how I could be helpful to the people and the animals that were in my immediate area. And I was also given another person to work with, which was really amazing, in a non um, energy healing fashion. I was given someone to work with and something else that I do voluntarily, and that was amazing. And so I was basically gifted with more responsibility so that I was able to drag my focus away from the chaos and misunderstanding of the situation and let God work it out, which I don't know. I don't know if it's worked out or not, but I've moved past it and I'm not going to worry about it because it was a lie anyway, and I'm just going to move on. And the lesson, I guess, for me was to know who my true friends are and to see the true colors of others, and then not to forget that, to remember that. And then, you can forgive, but not forget. That's the wise way to do it. And also in addition to that, to pray for the people who are very ill. That's another thing that I'm doing. I also uh, basically do a gratitude list where I go through all the things I'm grateful for, and then the people that come into my mind on a regular basis who normally I would be angry at or whatever, I just pray for them that they get what they want or they get what they deserve or um, you know, for the highest good of all concerned, that everything is worked out. And then I just move on. So, um, it has actually taken me many, many years to get to where I could do this. I mean, and that's what they say here. I'm glad to see that they say that it's gradual. It's gradual. But because in the beginning, when I first started to try to do this kind of thing, I truly believed the negative so intensely. I even believed that I had to pay by worrying in a way. Like I had to pay for potential terrible disappointment by um, imagining the worst and sort of reveling in worry. I had to very slowly, I moved away from that. It took a long time for me because I came from such a dark place. But I have gotten to that place where, in this instance, I did actually get to go through some childhood issues using it because it reminded me of being bullied at recess by a bunch of mean kids on the school playground, and how I dealt with it when I was a kid without any skills. And then I was able to go through it a second time now. And well, actually, it's more than a second time, but as a mature adult who understands and has a relationship with God, I was able to go through it totally differently. And just recognize that it was a misunderstanding, but that the people involved were so immature that they will never know that it's a misunderstanding because they don't seek the whole story. They just, I think this is another thing about people these days. They don't read thoroughly or research thoroughly. They just look at the title of something or listen to some hearsay from somebody, and then they don't research. And then what we do is, I mean, I think this is, being groomed into us. We convict someone without all the evidence, or someone is guilty before proven, or yeah, guilty before proven innocent. Like, part of our inalienable rights is that we are given due process of law and considered innocent until proven guilty. But it seems like, the new way that social media has groomed us is that people are guilty until proven innocent because a lot of people don't want to do the research necessary and there's a lot of false information. So you'd have to use your intuition and prayer to get down to the truth. So it's a lot easier maybe to just skip over all that and just crucify somebody because they're, too weird or something. They're a good scapegoat. Um, so, I was able to see all that, and then I just chose not to engage. I chose not to stoop down to their level. Um, I chose to just back away slowly from the crazy and um, just go on with my life and and use it as a again, it is actually a law of polarity thing, actually, because when you make a decision to do something and you start doing something, that's like the beginning of the wave, right? The little baby wave starts out like a little baby wave there, and then comes the opposite force, and that force hits the wave right here, and either the wave gets bigger as a result of that strengthening of the opposite force so that it can make it to the beach, or it gets clobbered by the opposing force. So how I took it was that the project that I was working on is of great importance, and so I needed that experience to strengthen my resolve to continue doing it and do it patiently. So, um, I think this is very important right now that we practice. We practice these things. Paying attention to the thoughts that go through your mind. Pay attention to your goals. Pay attention to the things that you want and your feelings. And notice, like, if you're talking yourself out of something because of fear or because of overwhelm or because you feel like the outcome would be hopeless. And try to look at it through the eyes of a child, how a child would look at it. Could it be fun to do something like this, whatever you're thinking of? And don't think of the outcome. Um, and once again, if you have fear, like I said, personally, I do service work, try to do service, try to be helpful to others. Um, even around the house, like do something for my husband that I know he would be happy that I did. I could focus on that. Um, and then while I'm doing it, I don't get to think about the other thing. I have to pray. I have to ask for the thoughts to be removed. And again, I just want to reiterate that when I say God, I'm talking about the spirit of the universe, as represented by the flower of life behind me. The spirit of the universe that is in nature. I'm not talking about some religious ideology thing at all. I'm talking about the creation, the creator of the creation, that energy, whatever it is. It's in unity consciousness and it can't really be comprehended by me in duality, but I can bear witness to it and experience it on a daily basis if I live according to natural law and am honest and try to be helpful and try to root out the things in myself that um, might be detrimental to others. The things in myself where I might be trying to get over on somebody or where I might try to, be trying to get mine. I might be trying to, get mine. Like, for example, like, okay, that's a good point, it would be enlightened self-interest. So, in other words, like, if I use service to combat fear in a way that is enlightened self-interest because I'm trying to be helpful for my own benefit, but we call that enlightened self-interest. Yeah, I want mine, but I'm going to make sure you get yours first. Like it's unlikely that I'm going to do anything selfless. I'm not, I'm always about me. And that's what's being cultivated out there is extreme self-centeredness. But um, I can try to put my desires and needs aside and try to be helpful to others. And then I know that the universe is going to reciprocate. It's the law of magnetism. The law of magnetism, is that I'm going to put aside, and the law of magnetism isn't mentioned here really. It is mentioned, I think, maybe it's the law of cause and effect that's in here, but it's the law of cause and effect. Let's stick with the Kybalion. Um, if I try to be helpful to others, if I am genuinely attempting to be helpful to others, then the payback I get from God is so huge and so awesome and amazing that I couldn't even imagine it. So I would much rather live like that, where and I'm just thinking about this too, and in terms of polarity, like fear, take fear, for example. Fear only exists if I have an attachment. I want something. So once again, if I can, and I mean, I'm not sure, see, I'm not sure for me it would be courage that I would cultivate, but maybe it is courageous to cultivate something different than to focus on fear these days, because they're really trying to make us be fearful at all the time with everything. There's constantly stuff being presented that could cause tremendous fear. But if I trust the pattern of nature and I align myself with it, I don't have to have fear. And again, I would say that's pretty courageous in the face of how things, what's being claimed that's happening in the world right now and how people are treating each other. Also, if I can be courageously seeking to be of service, then I can be of service simply by smiling at the clerk in the store, just not being on my phone, not being distracted while I'm in the store. And I could try to bring light and happiness to another person just with a smile or opening the door for someone. Um, so again, I mean, I'm not sure this is exactly what they're talking about here, but it is my experience with this, uh, and I do understand it is the law of cause and effect. If the cause is fear, or if the effect is fear, then I could change my cause to be about courage, and then I would slide over to the other polarity of the positive polarity. If the cause is fear, I'm just going to think about this for a second. If the cause, I mean, if the effect is fear, then the cause must have been that I wanted something. In this case, I wanted to be understood and I wanted help. I got misunderstanding and I'm certainly not getting any help. So I changed my cause to understanding. That's kind of like the St. Francis prayer. You could look into that. The St. Francis prayer is pretty amazing for things exactly this. See, because the St. Francis prayer says that I seek to understand rather than to be understood. That would be the polarity. To understand rather than to be understood would be the polarity of being misunderstood. So, once I do that, then I flatten that polarity out. I take myself out of the equation and I try to understand where they're at, where these people are coming from. I see them as coming from fear, wanting to control, um, wanting to cast blame, wanting to maybe reiterate their victimhood so that they can feel comfortable with things that they haven't worked out. And that's where they're at on their path. So, um, nothing I can do about that, okay, except what? Forgive them, try to understand where they're coming from, step aside, let them have their life path, and I just won't be on it. That's all. So I have to give up. Um, I have to have the courage to give up this group of people as friends. I just have to tell myself the truth. Oh, these are not my friends. Okay, well, so I have a moment, you know, um, it takes courage for me to do that. And then for me to recognize that maybe I don't need any friends. I have a few friends. I have my husband. I have um, a few people that understand me and that we understand each other. And I don't need any more than that. And I'll just let the universe bring me the people that are like-minded. And I can just set free these other people. It's a lot better way of living. Surrender, living in surrender, just not fighting anything, really. Um, Now, I mean, I'm not fighting. I am still fighting for my freedom. It is still, uh, it requires courage for me to stand up every day for my freedom, I'm not going to just like distract myself from that. But I can't get certain people to do what I want them to do. There's no way. But I'll continue to stand up for freedom by, putting my message out there. So, let me just review and see if I totally butchered this or whether I stayed on track. Um, yep, I think it's pretty good. So that's all I got for today. Till next time.